just so you know, Wesson's always making me laugh. Just so you know, I will be talking a lot. Wesson knows I'm always talking. I talk for a long time. I will ask you what you can learn, what you can change, what you can do differently. I will ask you some questions, but what I won't do is open up a large debate because we tend to go off topic. And then because we're recording, it's not very great for the people that are listening back who aren't involved on the live session. So I will talk, I will ask you some questions. I will expect you to do some work for yourself if you want to, that is, of course. But otherwise, you can just listen to my dulcet tones, just listen to my voice. I do have my tea because my voice is a bit raspy today. And I will try not to look at the chats because unless I've asked a question, because I get distracted. And I have got my video off, as in you can see me, I can't see you. So if you're making funny faces at me, I won't be able to see what you're doing. Anyway, so I will continue. So welcome to today's session on how to prioritize well-being as a lifestyle choice. Now, obviously this year has been crazy. Well-being is important at any time, but there's nothing like a health scare to make you think about the way you live, the way you are, how you look after yourself. I think there's nothing like a health scare going on around you to kind of prime up your mind and the way you think and about yourself and your well-being. Today it's not just about making the right choices about eating and how you move. It's also about how you think, but I'll go into that as I'm talking. So well-being to me is the holistic. It's your whole well-being. It's your mind, your body, your spirit. It's the whole thing. I'm not going to go spiritual on you, don't worry. But so the session content today is we're going to discuss what is well-being. Well-being means different things to each of us. We're going to talk about behavioral change. So if you are looking to change your behavior, if you're doing something particularly unhealthy and you want to change, what are the elements around behavioral change? What do you need to consider if you want to change your behavior? I'm going to talk about your habits. The things that you do most often are the path of least resistance. And what can you do to prioritize your well-being more? So whatever that means to you, I'm not going to invoke what I think well-being is on you, but whatever you want to do to highlight or change your well-being, your program of well-being, what do you need to do to prioritize that? And how can you use your mind, the way you think, as your foundation? And there'll be a Q&Q, there'll be a Q&A at the end for you to discuss and talk about, or ask me questions and to discuss whatever it is that you want to do, or share with the other attendees what you do or what you don't do for your health and well-being. So as I said, the session will be interactive. Normally when I have the well-behaved people together, we have open discussions, but I'm going to ask you stuff on the chat. So let's see if you can answer a few questions in the chat box. I do tend to go quite, I don't know if it's fast, but I'm to the point. I'm very succinct. That's, yeah, to the point. I don't dwell, I don't drag things out. I am quite specific. So hopefully it isn't too fast for you, but do let me know at the end if it has been. So my first question to you is, what's your reason for being here? You can pop it in the chat box. What's your reason for being here? Is there something specific around your well-being that's going on? I'm thinking that we all are having some similar experiences at the moment, but maybe there's something new. So if you've got something very specific or different other than the ordinary, please share with me what your reason for being here is. It might just be to do something on personal development, which is fine as well. Just pop it in the chat box so I can get an idea of what's going on, and I'll have a look at that in a second. I have to put my glasses on, however, so I can read. So go for your reasons for being here. And I'm going to have a quick little read to make sure there's anyone? No? Okay, yep, here we go. Hi, Shamina, thank you for joining. Okay, stay up late. I stay up way too late and then wake up tired. Okay. One can never know enough about well-being. Thank you, Ramina. Hi, Ramina. Especially, yeah, at this time. Okay, super. All right. Okay, that's cool. Text interesting. That's fine. New aspects of well-being. Surviving on coffee. Yeah, yeah, Wessam. I I listen to you. I see what time you go to bed, Wessam, and my heart is crying for you. I'm like, I really want to get hold of Wessam's agenda and her plan. When is she sleeping? So okay, all right. So same. All right. So a few people going to bed late, and I guess for some people, if you're working from home as well, you kind of drift into your home life, your work life. They kind of bleed into each other. So there's no clear demarcation of bedtime and wake time, etc. Okay, cool. I'm just going to close that down again. Thank you for sharing that. That's some interesting stuff there. All right, so what is well-being? So for me, well-being is about, as I said earlier, all of the aspects. So it's about your emotional well-being, your mental, so your psychological well-being, and your physical. The difference between your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional tends to be around your connection, your love interests, your family, friends, is how you're feeling yourself. Your mental well-being is how resilient you are, how strong you are, how you're coping, and your well-being, how balanced it is. Are you feeling anxious, nervous? Are you upset all the time? Are you angry? So that's around your mental side of things. And obviously your physical is your eating, your health, how you're moving. So for me, these three are all important. So if you looked at the term that what I wrote about look after your body, it's the only place you have to live. Yes, looking after your body physically is important, but looking after your mind is even more important. In fact, they're equal as far as I'm concerned. But you have your own opinions, but I'll share with you some of my thoughts on how you can look after your well-being more. In terms of, it'd be interesting to listen to you at the Q&A as to why you're not sleeping, why you're kind of allowing staying up late and waking up tired when you know it's not really healthy and it's not really helping you, for those of you who are doing that. So the first step around changing your behavior when it comes to your well-being, so if you don't have any particular issues and you're quite happy, that's absolutely wonderful. But most people are doing things that, if they look back on what they're doing, they'll realize that they're not really looking after their body, they're not really looking after their mind, they're not really taking care of where they have to live. And again, I can see that I've lost the last thing there. Anyway, pre-contemplation is, I'm going to actually, just give me a second, some technical issues. I can see what's gone wrong here. Do bear with me. The change, you're just going through life, just minding your own business kind of things. There's lots of things, if you look closely, there are signs that your behavior needs to change, but you don't recognize it. You won't see it, or you're in denial. And that's your pre-contemplation stage, where you say everything's okay, but for instance, you're feeling unwell, you're generally tired, your energy levels are low, you feel anxious, you feel nervous, you're losing weight, you're putting on weight, those types of things. Then it could be another habit. It could be, I don't know, smoking, caffeine, drugs. And you think that everything's hunky-dory, I can manage it. But that's when you're in the stage of pre-contemplation. You don't actually realize that there's anything wrong. And when you do realize there's something wrong, you move on to the next stage, which is contemplation. That's where you start thinking, well, something's not feeling right here. I need to do something different. So I'll go into, what can I do? You start thinking about what you'd like to change. And if you look at your life, you probably have lots of things that you want to change. And it's quite difficult to change everything at once. So when you're at the contemplation stage, it's probably better for you to look at a few things and then start looking at one or two things that you want to change. Then you move into the preparation stage. You start looking at, what can I do? Maybe you start reading some books. Maybe you start listening to some podcasts. perhaps you go and see someone, you go see a therapist or a coach or a counselor. You start preparing for what you want to do, what you want to change, or you don't actually go and see them. You start looking them up or having discovery calls, or you start reading books. So you're preparing. You're not quite ready yet. You're not quite sure what you need to do, but you start preparing for something to change, and then you take action. Yeah, the other one is maintenance. Then you take action. You start doing something. You start doing something differently. So you might change your diet. You might go to a quit smoking class. You might give up coffee and start drinking green tea. Perhaps you give up sugar for a while. It depends what it is for you. So these are the stages of behavioral change. And then the last one, which you can't see, is maintenance. And maintenance is about, so you move from action into the maintenance change. So you take the action, you do something differently, and then you start maintaining. So you move into that stage where it becomes more normal for this change to apply in your life. And when you're at that maintenance stage, there's one of two ways it can go. You either continue with the maintenance, and then it becomes a lifestyle choice. So you get to 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you carry on. And then that peaks off into the lifestyle change. That's what the left arrow is. But if you don't maintain it, you start falling back into bad habits, and then you go back into the cycle. So you go back into the pre-contemplation stage, contemplation, preparation, action, and then maintenance. That is the cycle of behavioral change. I can explain more if anyone has any questions about that. This is quite a deep subject, so I'm just giving you the highlight of behavioral change. So you think about it. So first you're unaware, then you think about it, then you prepare, then you take action, and then you move into maintenance. If you fall off the wagon in maintenance, then you go back into the cycle. But if you manage to maintain that lifestyle, it is your lifestyle choice, and you are healed forever. Amen. Joking, but you're feeling good and great about yourself. So energy goes where your attention flows. So when you're talking about making behavioral changes, just remember that if you're eating unhealthily, or you have other vices, smoking, I don't know, drugs, alcohol, and it's all out of control. I'm not talking about, it's balance. I'm talking about stuff that's really out of control, that's having a negative impact on your life. I'm not talking about the simple things when we're following the 80-20 rule. Occasionally we eat something that's not great. Occasionally, you have an alcoholic drink, or you have drugs, whatever. I'm not judging. It's up to you. But remember, your energy goes where your attention flows. So if you're focused on those things that are not good for you and not healthy for you, that's where you're going to keep going to. So you're just going to stay on that journey of traveling where your focus, where your energy is going. So they've got that saying, misery loves company. So if you're around people who are miserable, negative, critical, judgmental, that's where your energy is going, and that's what you're going to get sucked into. If you choose to move towards different kind of energy vibes, that's where your attention will go. So your energy goes where your attention flows. So remember, if you're paying attention to things that are harmful to you, that's where your energy is going to continue taking you. And if you are paying attention to things that are helpful to you, that's where your energy is going to go. That's where you're going to feel good and better about yourself. So be careful where you focus. So the question for you, when it comes to your well-being, where does your focus lie? Are you looking after yourself? And that is whether it's whether you're eating right, moving, or thinking. So whatever well-being means to you, where does your focus lie? Does it stay or does it stray? Are you consistent in looking after yourself, or do you fall off the wagon, as they say? Do you stray? Do you start a great journey of eating healthily, or no sugar, something like that? You want to lose weight. How consistent are you? Does it stay in that place, or do you stray? What do you choose to focus on? What do you choose to focus your well-being and your energy on? Do you focus on the things that are helpful to you? Remember, look after your body. It's the only place you have to live. When you're young, when you're 18, you're 20, you think you've got all the time in the world. It doesn't matter. When you start hitting the digits, you start getting up there, things start to feel a little bit funny, you're not quite sure because you haven't been maintaining yourself, you haven't been looking after yourself. So what do you choose to focus on? And I always say, don't leave it too late to nurture your mind, body, and soul. Don't wait till things start breaking down before you do something about it. Actively participate, be proactive in looking after your body. Don't wait until it gives up on you or until it strays your immune system. And now the reason why I've got this picture in there is because I want to tell you a story about me. So I've always been someone, I've always been quite sporty. I used to be a party girl. I used to go out. Yeah, I'm still a party girl. I just calm myself down a bit. Used to be out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo. Coming in at 3 a.m., waking up at 6 to go to work. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. I've always lived my life as if it was, as each and every day as if it were my last. I've just always had that kind of personality. And in 2003, I had a series of situations, and basically I was diagnosed with MS, which is multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disease. Now, as I said, I was living a wonderfully full and I worked hard, I played hard, a full life. But these things, a health scare, nothing like a health scare that helps you to look at your perspective. So for me, I had to do things different. When I was diagnosed with MS, I was very, very ill, and I did not want that to be my legacy. I wanted to do everything in my control to make sure that I'm well and healthy. And what I did was I changed the way I thought, I changed the way I looked at stress, I changed the way I looked at people, I changed the way I looked at situations, I changed my eating habits, I exercised. Well, I used to exercise anyway, but now I don't miss a day unless I'm really, really ill or I'm not feeling well or I'm taking a natural rest day. I exercise every day. So this is where I say, look after your body. It's the only place I have to live. I have been relatively symptom free for 17, nearly 18 years, which I'm very, very grateful for. But that comes to how I've decided to look after my body and my mind. So that's just a story about me. Don't wait until there's a health scare before you do the same thing. Now, obviously, it's easy for me to share that with you because I've had a big health scare, but I'm speaking here from experience, not just from what I do, but from lived experience. So, your well being, when it comes to your well being, what does well being mean to you? I've already asked you this question, but if you need to take a picture of this slide, take a snapshot, think about it, or listen to the recording. What does well-being mean to you, and what do you want to improve? Now, the people that are living a wonderful life and they don't think there's anything to improve, now that's fantastic, but maybe there's something that you'd want to do better. Those of you who really do want to make a change, what does well-being mean to you? So I really encourage you to sit down and write out your answers to this. What does well-being mean to you, and what do you want to improve? Don't throw 5 things at it. Maybe pick 1 or 2 things that you want to do, because if you try and do them all at once, it doesn't really work that well. So try and just pick out one thing, especially if it's a major change of what you want to change or improve. And remember that the things we do every day become the path that's easily trodden. So it becomes the path of least resistance. It's the least resistance. It's the easy route. So the things that you do daily, whether they're good for you or not good for you, whether they're helpful or unhelpful, they just become easier. When you've been given something new to do or something new to learn, you struggle, it's hard work, you've never done it before, you don't really like it. That's because it's a path that's not been trodden on for very long. So it's the path of least resistance. But once you start walking that road and learning, it then becomes your new path of least resistance. So when I say, if you're doing something that's not healthy, then it's become easier, it's become a habit. So for you to veer off that path to do something differently and more helpful might take a little bit of your energy or your time, and you might struggle a little bit. But once you start doing that, it will become easier. So if there is something, you just have to take that step. It's not that easy sometimes to click your fingers, but take that first step to do something different so that it becomes your path most traveled, so that it becomes your new path of least resistance, but it's much more healthier for you. So think about the habits that you do often and you do daily. So those of you who aren't going to bed when you need to, those of you who are drinking too much caffeine and you're kind of wired all the time, think of the strain on your heart. Think about your strain on your brain. Think about the strain on your body. Not ready for change, that's also fine. If you're not sleeping right, you're not going to bed when you need to, think about that strain on your body. When you sleep well, eat well, be well, you are well. You feel much fresher, you feel joyful, you feel energized. There might be some reasons behind why you're doing the things you're doing. That's a whole different story. That's a whole different session. But start thinking about what is stopping you from really living a more healthy lifestyle. So, the coffee, the caffeine, the sleep, think about why you're doing it. What's the reason you're doing it? And what is it that you might need to change to get over those hurdles? And the more you do these new things, the easier they become. It's always hard in the beginning. Oops, slide's not moving. So I like to think of your mind as your engine. So it's like your control center. You don't do anything without your brain sending signals to your body. If you're hungry, your body's got to tell your mind, go make your mind's got to tell your body to go make something to eat. So think of your mind as your engine. Your engines. I've even known people to become well from the power of their mind, from the way they think. I'm not going to go into that because that's a different topic. But think of it as your engine that keeps your body running well. It keeps you doing the things that you need to do or want to do. So focus on keeping your engine running well. What do you need to do to keep your mind helping you to be more healthy, to focus on your well-being more? How can you use it to support your well-being? So what you eat, how you move, how you think, what can you do differently to really help yourself? And mind matters. So those of you if there's anyone here who worry a lot, spend a lot of time overthinking, what do you worry over? Again, these are questions for you. They're self-reflection questions. They're perhaps homework for you. Maybe take a picture of the screen. I'll try not to speak too fast. Take a picture of the screen, take a screenshot. What do you worry over? And the time, what's the time that you spend in the zone of unhelpful thought patterns? How much do you go over and over and over and over the same thing without actually making any kind of decision or it being helpful for you? And how can you start prioritizing what's important to you, what really matters, and what is in your control? Because there are things you cannot control. So you have to, at some point, let them go. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself absolutely nuts. So how can you prioritize what's important to you, what really matters, and what is in your control? So take a picture of that screen. I'll give you a couple of seconds. And these questions might not seem like much to you just reading them, but when you sit down and start working your way through them, they can bring up answers for you that help you decide on what you want to change. So I'll leave that. If you need me to come back to it, I can do. And I'm a big fan of mindfulness has been all the rage, and people are talking about it's a buzzword. It's oh, let's see what the next phase is. But I think mindfulness is just brilliant. It's just so powerful. Being present in the here and now, rather than your mind is there, your mind is there, your mind is everywhere. You're not focusing on one thing. You're focusing on so many things. And I can see that now. I can see, especially with because we're at home now with all this tech going on, my phone's going bing, bing, bing. I have to mute my phone. It drives me nuts. Emails, I literally put a shutdown on my phone that I can only access my apps for 15 minutes a day, unless I know something urgent is coming in. I've got to slow down because otherwise I'll be out of balance, and I really don't like being out of balance, especially now that I've seen the light. So being present means slowing down. Take the time to smell the coffee before you drink it. So slow down. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to do everything at once. Do one thing at a time. Focus. If you're talking to someone, focus on that person. Give them their attention. Make them feel loved. Focus on one thing at a time. Enjoy your experiences, even if it's washing the dishes. Tune out from the outside world. As I said, tech has become our be all and end all. If you need to, switch them off. Tune out from people, tune out from tech, tune out from the world. Really, if you need to, I'm giving you permission. Some people think they can't because, oh yeah, but my work's going to email me, my mum's going to email me, my boss is going to text me, whatever. Tune out. And when you tune out, don't feel guilty. Just let it go. Tell people, I'm tuning out. I've had enough. I'm tuning out for a bit. And feel the strangeness of it all, because we've become so used to tuning in. Feel the strangeness of it. People are going to think you're really weird. They're going to think you're different. But, lead by example. Show them there's a different way to live. Remember that you're looking after your holistic well-being. You're looking after your well-being. If that's not for you, and you're fine with being in tune with everything and being all over the show, then do it. But if you do feel like you need to take some time out, then take some time out. Obviously, this is for the people that want to. If you don't want to, I'm not forcing you. I'm just suggesting, encouraging you to take some time out. So your overall health, obviously, we know sleep is paramount. Your how many hours, and I'm not going to say 6 or 7 or 8 hours is important. What your ideal sleep pattern is. If you can survive on 4 hours and you feel great, knock yourself out. Sorry, knock yourself out means do it. It's fine. It's fun. If you can survive on 4 hours, just make sure you're not suffering. There are studies around that say less than 6, 7, 8 hours is detrimental to your health. But if you feel good on it and it works for you, then that's fine. But, do some studies around, what your optimal sleep time is. But, overall health does rely on good sleep patterns, good rest. Obviously, your engine, your body, your mind is your engine, but your body needs good nutrition. If you're not eating right, then you'll start to feel those elements of sluggishness, tiredness, uncomfortable, aches in your joints. And over long term years, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, there's no 10-year-olds on this call, ill health nutrition will lead to some amount of ill health at some point in your life. Movement, use it or lose it. Walk more. I'm not talking about becoming a world-class athlete. I'm talking about making sure that you're not just sitting on the couch doing nothing. Make sure you're moving, whatever you like. Some people like the gym, some people like the outdoors, some people like yoga, some people don't. Move more. Just make sure you're using it so that you don't seize up later in life. Connection is really important. So phone call, if you can't see people now, social connection is important. But if you can just talk to people, that's also really essential for your overall mental health and your well-being. Connection, feeling loved, feeling a sense of belonging is super important for your body. Some people thrive on that physically. They literally thrive on that physical connection. And obviously your mindset is super important to help you to look after yourself, the way you think. So if you are someone who wants to achieve something specific, but your mind is going in a different direction, then you're going to feel really unbalanced. You're going to feel like I'm not doing right by my mind going off in a different direction. So focusing on the right mindset is also super important. I can't tell you how to do that for yourself. Well, I can, but not in this session. But really make sure that your mindset is aligned with what you want in life and aligned with what your physical and mental well-being is all about. So don't forget the mindset pattern. It's really essential. Routine is also important. What you do regularly counts. So if you're saying that you want to, I don't know, let's say you want to lose weight, if you're spending 5 minutes a day eating lettuce leaves and the rest of the time you're spending stuffing chocolate into your mouth, that's the regularly. The majority of the eating chocolate is not going to help you to lose weight. So what you do regularly and most often is what counts. So think about your habits and look at the balance. Are they skewed? Are they 50-50? Are they 70-30, 80-20? What side? Helpful, unhelpful? What you do regularly is what really matters. If you start a new pattern and you stray, you stop doing it, something happens, just return to it when you're ready. What I see when people are on a diet, they eat healthy for a week, maybe 3 days, and then they get to day 4, and then they think, oh, well, I've started now, I'm just going to carry on, I'm going to give up. But just have your day, eat what you want, and the next week, go back to it. And don't feel guilty. Guilt is it's just wasted energy, feeling guilty after you've eaten a bar of chocolate or eaten a cake. There's no point. Let it go and then start again when you're ready. Let go of the guilt. I give you permission to let go of guilt. Guilt does not play any part in my life or my way of thinking. But just there's no point in feeling guilty about things that make you feel good at the time. There's no point. Guilt is just wasted energy. And think about your environment when we're talking about well-being. Your environment is super important. So where you live, your home, what's around it, what's in it, who's in it as well is important. Who you allow into your home environment. Do they upset you? Do they make you feel good? Do you feel comfortable? So think about your environment. Think about your relationships, your friends, your family, your spouse. Do you have good relationships? Do you have people you can turn to? Do you have a good support network? These are all they're all a healthy part or unhealthy part of your well-being. They're all important parts of your well-being. And your work, are you enjoying your work? I know some of you aren't. If you're not enjoying your work, what's the first step that you need to do to start making changes? What do you need to focus on to move on from where you are? Any changes that you need to make? How can you stay really laser focused on what you need to do to move beyond that? Some people love their job, some people love their work. So, just balance that out. Have a think about what you want to change, what you want to be different. Boundaries. Someone said about setting boundaries. Like, I have no problems saying no to things that I need to, because when I need my rest, when I need my downtime, I don't need to explain myself. I just have to say no. It's important for me to look after myself, but it's also important for me that people know where they stand with me. I am quite flexible in many things, but boundaries, if you don't know your own boundaries, then people are going to tread on them. They're going to walk all over you. They're going to walk through your boundaries. So make sure you're certain of your own boundaries. So spend some time working on your own boundaries. Have boundaries for yourself as well. What are you willing to do, and what are you not willing to do when it comes to your well-being? And set your boundaries for yourself and for others so that others don't pass it. And don't forget, self-care isn't selfish. Looking after yourself is not selfish. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. Say do not cross when you need to. No entry when you need to. Well-being is all about the more you build it up, the more resilient you become. Resilience is about how you bounce back or how you weather the storms. So when all these things that I'm talking about, obviously pick whatever's important to you or find something else to build your foundations for your well-being. So whether it's your nutrition, sleep patterns, mental well-being, emotional well-being, pick your foundation that needs to be the strongest for you to be more healthy and focused on your own well-being. And when you're going through stuff that feels uncomfortable and your mind is not in the right space, remember that no storm lasts forever. So even when you're in the deepest, darkest days, no storm lasts forever. If you're having a really bad time right now, there will be an end. It will come to an end, but find something to help you ride out that storm. But no storm lasts forever, and we have storms in life. That's just what happens. Life is not designed for perfection, is what I always say. And when you do have things that are out of your control, what happens? You can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond. And you can allow yourself to either let that elevate you or bring you down. You choose. It's up to you how you respond. If you're in a pattern of the same behaviors that bring you down when something out of your control happens, and start thinking about what is in my control, what can I do differently? If I can't control it, how can I respond that helps me feel better about myself. So feeling stronger when you are, and when you eat better, you feel stronger. When you eat the right foods, you feel better, you feel stronger. When you sleep better, you feel stronger. When you've had a really good night's sleep, you feel like you can conquer the world. When you move more, you are physically stronger. When you do exercise, you are physically stronger. When you exercise your mind to help you, your mental well-being, you are mentally stronger. So work on what you can do to be stronger. So I'm coming up towards the end now. So I've been talking a lot. So make that commitment. Make that commitment to start thinking differently. What's the one thing that you can pick out that you want to do differently? If your life is 100% happy, how could you help someone else to think differently? You know, transfer that, pass it on, pay it forward. But if you are struggling with something, what's the one thing you can do to think differently? What's that one thing? If you're struggling with your weight, you're struggling with your nutrition, what's the one thing you can do to eat differently? Is it cutting out sugar? Is it having breakfast? Is it having protein with every meal? Less carbohydrates, or less refined carbohydrates, should I say? Eat differently. If anyone wants a wonderful group for women about eating well, just let me know and I'll send you. It's on Facebook, but it is for women. It's called Natural Wellness Solutions if you're interested in eating better. What's the one thing you can do to move differently, to do some exercise, to walk, yoga, whatever, run up and down the stairs? What can you do to move differently? And what's the first thing that you can do to begin? Where can you start? And continue when it's hard. Even when it's difficult or you're struggling, continue when it's hard and just get back on the horse, as they say, when it's hard. So here's my contact details. I'm not sure when Wessam's going to stop the flow, not the flow, the recording. My contact details, and I'm over to questions as well. I can go back to slides as well if you want me to.
I had a question about setting self boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Setting boundaries. So
For yourself, not for
yourself.
other